Last time we came to campus, we showed the whole prize closet.
It was a long time ago.
Yes, sir. I think it was just on paper at that point.
Get him back.
And so we, I know you know the drill, but trying to make sure it's like young expressions, exotic textures. Yes, sir. And then you gotta check the bottom. Yeah, check the bottom.
That's Shedeur, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
yes, sir.
That's
okay.
awesome. Shedeur?
Yes,
So
sir.
you didn't tell me that.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's on. Yes, sir.
He's still with talent. We're just briefing him right now.
Right, talking about the future.
Yeah.
You see these, the patent. We know what those mean.
Gotcha.
So what we're gonna do.
You don't got these?
I do. I need to call Colorado team too.
You feel me? I got your dada.
Okay. Don't first.
I got something you ain't never seen before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, like 90% of these shoes I probably would never wear.
Oh,
Who gonna wear Jordans again, bro? And your daddy got his own shoe.
exactly.
Mine coming soon. You know what I mean?
Legendary's coming soon.
I'm just pissed that all my stuff still at home, bro.
50,000 pairs, 4.2 seconds. Gone. That's not a typo. That's not exaggeration. That's exactly what happened when Nike dropped Shedeur Sanders Air DT Max 96 Legendary Edition sneakers. The moment that countdown hit zero, 50,000 people slammed that buy button simultaneously. Nike's servers buckled under the pressure. The app crashed for users across the country. And by the time most people refreshed their screens, every single pair had vanished into shopping carts. Within hours, those same sneakers appeared on resale markets for $1,500. Some listings pushed even higher. Sneakerheads who missed the drop were paying 3, 4, sometimes 5 times retail just to get their hands on a pair. This wasn't manufactured hype. This was genuine, overwhelming demand that caught even Nike executives completely off guard. But here's what makes this story truly wild. The guy behind this historic sellout? A 5th-round draft pick. A quarterback that multiple NFL teams passed on because they worried about the circus surrounding him. A rookie who hasn't won a single playoff game yet. And he just proved his brand is worth more than every quarterback drafted ahead of him combined. Long before Shedeur Sanders ever took an NFL snap, something unusual was happening behind closed doors. Nike executives were flying to Colorado, holding meetings that nobody in the sports media world seemed to notice. And what emerged from those meetings would completely rewrite the rules of athlete endorsements. Reports indicate Shedeur signed a deal worth $125 million while still playing college football. Let that sink in for a moment. A college quarterback, someone who had never played a professional down, locked in generational wealth before the draft even happened. Most Pro Bowl quarterbacks spend entire careers chasing endorsement money like that. Shedeur secured it before anyone knew which team would even select him. But here's where the contract structure gets genuinely fascinating. Buried in the legal language was something insiders started calling the active player trigger clause. The moment Shedeur became an official NFL player, the instant he stepped onto that field for his first preseason snap, the entire contract valuation doubled. $125 million became $250 million, just like that. One snap transformed everything. Think about what Nike was really saying with that clause. They weren't betting on draft position. They weren't concerned about which round he'd go in. They were so confident in Shedeur's marketability that they built automatic escalators into the deal. They knew the audience would follow him regardless of where he landed. And the confidence proved justified almost immediately. Cleveland selected Shedeur in the 5th round, and within weeks, his jersey became the fastest-selling rookie merchandise in league history. The Browns, a franchise that historically struggles to move merchandise compared to bigger market teams, suddenly found themselves at the center of sneaker culture conversations. What's particularly interesting about the contract structure is what we don't officially know. Industry insiders have speculated about additional performance escalators tied to Pro Bowl selections and playoff appearances. There's been talk about clauses that could push the deal even higher if certain benchmarks get reached. Some have even suggested there might be equity participation elements that go beyond traditional endorsement payments. Now, none of these additional details have been officially confirmed, so we need to frame them as speculation. But what we do know for certain is that the base structure already places Shedeur in territory usually reserved for established superstars with championship rings and MVP trophies. Consider the comparison for a moment. Veteran quarterbacks with decade-long careers and multiple playoff runs often have Nike deals in the 10 to 30 million range annually. Some of the biggest names in the sport have total endorsement portfolios that don't reach 250 million across their entire careers. And here's Shedeur, locking that number in before his rookie season even starts. The timing element deserves attention too. Nike didn't wait until after the draft to see where Shedeur landed. They didn't hedge their bets based on which market he'd play in. They committed that money when there was still genuine uncertainty about his professional future. That tells you everything about how the brand evaluated his commercial potential versus what traditional football scouting suggested. There's also the day-in factor that can't be ignored. Shedeur's father built his own legendary relationship with Nike during the diamond turf era of the 1990s. Prime understood the endorsement game at levels most athletes never reach. And according to various reports, he played a significant role in structuring his son's deal to maximize long-term value rather than accepting quick payouts. The generational knowledge transfer happening in the Sanders family is remarkable when you examine it closely. Dayan experienced the athlete endorsement landscape when players had far less leverage. He watched teammates sign deals that undervalued their true market worth. And he apparently made certain his son would never face those same disadvantages. What Nike received in return was access to something increasingly rare and valuable: an athlete who genuinely connects with Gen Z audiences, someone who understands social media natively rather than treating it as an obligation, a personality that generates organic engagement without needing manufactured marketing campaigns. The tunnel walks alone demonstrate this perfectly. Shedeur's game day arrivals become content moments that spread across platforms instantly. The fits get analyzed, the confidence gets discussed, and the brand visibility compounds without Nike spending additional advertising dollars. That's modern influence operating at peak efficiency. The contract nobody was supposed to see revealed that Nike understood something NFL teams apparently missed. Draft position measures football evaluation consensus. It doesn't measure commercial potential. It doesn't capture cultural relevance. It doesn't predict who will move merchandise and dominate conversations. Nike bet $250 million that Shedeur's brand would transcend whatever round he went in. And what happened next would prove that bet was actually conservative. Standard NFL jersey licensing works through a system that most fans never think about. The NFLPA negotiates group licensing agreements on behalf of all players. Revenue gets pooled and distributed based on formulas that favor established stars. Rookies typically see modest checks that grow over time as their profiles increase. The typical player might receive somewhere between 2 and 5% of their individual merchandise sales through these collective arrangements. Shedeur Sanders apparently looked at that system and decided it wasn't going to work for him. According to multiple reports, Shedeur negotiated a direct deal with Nike for his number 2 jersey that bypasses the traditional licensing structure entirely. Instead of accepting single-digit percentage points, he reportedly secured 50% of all revenue generated from his jersey sales. Half of every jersey sold online, half of every jersey purchased at stadiums, half of every jersey moved through flagship Nike stores, direct to him. The numbers that follow this arrangement are staggering when you calculate them out. Shedeur has already sold 375,000 jerseys as a rookie. That's more than any first-year player in league history. More than the number 1 overall pick. More than Heisman Trophy winners who entered the league with massive college followings. More than everyone. At approximately $120 per jersey, that represents roughly $45 million in gross revenue. If Shedeur is genuinely receiving 50%, that translates to $22.5 million from jersey sales alone. Not from his base Nike contract. Not from appearance fees or other endorsements. Just from people wanting to wear his number. To put this in perspective, many starting NFL quarterbacks have total annual earnings from all endorsement sources that don't reach $22 million. Shedeur potentially matched or exceeded that figure from a single merchandise category in his rookie year. And this revenue stream compounds monthly as new jerseys continue selling. The implications of this arrangement extend far beyond Shedeur's personal finances. If one young quarterback can negotiate 50% revenue participation, what stops the next elite prospect from demanding similar terms? What happens when agents start incorporating these clauses into every negotiation? How does the traditional licensing model survive when top players realize they can structure deals individually rather than accepting collective terms? These questions are already creating conversations in front offices and union meetings. The prime equity framework, as some marketing executives have started calling it, represents a fundamental shift in how athletes can approach their commercial relationships. Instead of being employees who receive fixed endorsement salaries, players can position themselves as partners who share in the revenue they generate. Nike apparently recognized something crucial when agreeing to these terms. Shedeur's audience engagement and merchandise movement justified revenue sharing that would seem outrageous for almost any other rookie. The company calculated that 50% of Shedeur's sales would still generate massive profits compared to standard deals with players who move far less inventory. And that calculation appears vindicated by the results. Cleveland Browns merchandise, historically among the lower-performing categories in NFL retail, suddenly became internationally relevant. Fans who never considered buying Browns gear were purchasing Shedeur jerseys as fashion statements rather than team loyalty expressions. The business model disruption here cannot be overstated. Traditional athlete endorsements operate on relatively simple math. Brands pay fixed amounts for association with athletes, hoping that association drives consumer behavior. The athlete receives guaranteed money regardless of whether products actually sell well. Risk sits primarily with the brand. Revenue participation flips that equation. Both sides now have aligned incentives. Shedeur benefits when jerseys sell because he receives percentage of each sale. Nike benefits when jerseys sell because they're moving inventory and collecting their portion. Neither party succeeds unless products actually perform in the market. This alignment creates something interesting from a design and marketing perspective too. Nike has every reason to make Shedeur's merchandise as appealing as possible because they directly benefit from higher sales. Shedeur has every reason to promote and showcase his merchandise because each unit sold increases his earnings. The collaboration becomes genuinely mutual rather than transactional. Young athletes entering professional sports are watching this closely. The next generation of prospects will arrive at contract negotiations with Shedeur's deal as a reference point. They'll ask why they should accept 2% when someone demonstrated 50% was achievable. They'll question whether collective licensing actually serves their individual interests. Agents are already adapting their approaches. According to industry observers, firms are now building revenue participation expertise specifically to pursue similar arrangements for top clients. The infrastructure for prime equity style deals is developing in real time. What makes this particularly impressive is how Shedeur executed the negotiation. There were no public demands or controversial statements. No holding out or creating drama. He simply structured the deal, signed the terms, and let results speak for themselves. 375,000 jerseys sold, 22 million potentially earned, and the season had barely started. The jersey revolution demonstrated that Shedeur and his team understood something fundamental about modern athlete economics. Volume matters more than percentage for most players, but percentage matters more than volume when you can guarantee both. And Shedeur had the brand power to guarantee both. What Nike embedded in the actual shoe design would carry this messaging even further. When Nike designs signature athlete footwear, every detail carries intentional meaning. The colorways reference team affiliations or personal histories. The materials communicate quality and performance capabilities. The logos and inscriptions tell stories that superfans decode and discuss across social platforms. Nothing appears by accident. The Air DT Max 96 Legendary Edition, created for Shedeur Sanders, might be the most deliberately symbolic sneaker Nike has produced in years. And the messaging starts where most people never think to look: the soles. Examine the bottom of Shedeur's sneakers and you'll find them covered in money signs. Literally. Dollar symbols embedded into the rubber that contacts the ground with every step. Shedeur Sanders walking over cash representations continuously. The symbolism couldn't be more direct if Nike had printed his bank statements on the insoles. That design choice communicates something specific about how Nike views this partnership. They're not presenting Shedeur as an athlete who might eventually achieve financial success. They're declaring him as someone who already embodies wealth generation. Someone whose business acumen produces results faster than his on-field performance alone could create. Someone who understands money in ways that players twice his age haven't figured out yet. The Cleveland Browns colorway adds another layer to the visual storytelling. Bold orange and deep brown on a premium white backdrop. These aren't colors that typically dominate sneaker culture. Cleveland has never been the epicenter of streetwear fashion. Browns merchandise historically stayed regional rather than achieving national or international distribution. Shedeur changed that equation completely. Kids in London started wearing brown and orange combinations. Tokyo sneaker collectors began hunting Cleveland colorways as rare finds. Paris influencers incorporated the palette into high-end outfit styling. A market that previously lacked cultural relevance suddenly became aspirational because of one player's influence. That transformation deserves serious consideration. Nike has spent decades building global sneaker culture through association with major market teams and internationally recognized superstars. The idea that Cleveland could become a fashion conversation seemed almost laughable before Shedeur arrived. Yet here we are, watching brown and orange achieve international distribution because one rookie quarterback carries enough brand weight to overcome market limitations. The Pro Day 1 inscription on the heel carries its own significance. Pro Day references the pre-draft workout events where prospects showcase abilities for NFL scouts. The Day 1 element speaks to being ready from the beginning. But combined, the phrase responds to critics who tried dismissing Shedeur as merely Dayan's son rather than an elite talent in his own right. That inscription acknowledges the work that happened before the spotlight arrived, the preparation that began long before NFL teams started evaluating, the development that occurred when nobody was paying attention or offering endorsement deals. Nike embedded recognition of that journey into the physical product. The timing of the release added another strategic dimension. Nike dropped the sneakers exactly 24 hours before Shedeur's 24th birthday. That created natural social media moments as the connection between timing and age became obvious. The birthday release generated organic conversation that extended beyond sneaker communities into general sports discussion and lifestyle content. Strategic timing like that doesn't happen accidentally. Marketing teams at Nike planned this alignment months in advance. They understood that giving audiences a narrative hook beyond just new shoes available would amplify reach without additional advertising spending. The birthday angle gave media outlets an easy story framework. Content creators had natural talking points, and Shedeur's own social channels could celebrate both the release and personal milestone simultaneously. The collaborative storytelling between athlete and brand reached levels that most endorsement deals never achieve. This wasn't Nike simply putting an athlete's name on existing product. This was genuine creative partnership where the shoe design reflected Shedeur's actual life philosophy and business approach. Consider how different this feels from traditional signature releases. Many athlete sneakers simply apply colors and logos to existing silhouettes without deeper meaning. The shoes function as merchandise rather than communication. Fans purchase them for team affiliation or athlete support rather than because the design itself tells a compelling story. Shedeur's release operated differently. Every element reinforced consistent messaging about wealth generation, self-made success, and cultural transcendence. Fans weren't just buying shoes. They were buying into a narrative about what modern athlete success looks like. They were associating themselves with business philosophy as much as football performance. Nike's design team clearly understood their audience for this release. Gen Z consumers particularly respond to products that carry meaning beyond pure aesthetics. They want purchases to reflect values and aspirations. They share products on social media and explain why the details matter to them personally. The money-signed soles gave fans something to photograph and post. The colorway gave them something to style and showcase. The inscriptions gave them something to decode and discuss. Every design choice created content opportunities that extended the release's impact far beyond the initial purchase moment. And then there was the physical launch event that revealed just how drastically Nike had underestimated what was coming. Nike selected San Francisco for the physical launch event, and what unfolded there revealed demand levels that even aggressive internal projections hadn't anticipated. Security personnel found themselves managing crowds that surged toward entrance points with intensity usually reserved for concert venues or product drops from the biggest names in music. Phones came out everywhere. Cameras started rolling before doors even opened. The energy building outside that venue felt less like a retail activation and more like a cultural moment happening in real time. Fans who couldn't secure pairs online traveled hoping for in-person opportunities. Media crews positioned themselves to capture whatever was about to unfold. What made the San Francisco event particularly interesting was who hosted it. Shedeur's brother Shedeur Sanders took a visible role in managing the family presence and fan interactions. That choice reinforced something Nike clearly understood about the Sanders brand. This wasn't just about one athlete. This was about a family legacy that spans generations and resonates with audiences who followed Dayan's career decades ago, while simultaneously connecting with younger fans, discovering the Sanders name through Shedeur and his siblings. Shedeur's involvement transformed what could have felt like corporate product placement into something more authentic. Fans weren't just meeting a brand ambassador performing promotional duties. They were interacting with family members who genuinely seemed to enjoy the chaos and excitement surrounding the release. That authenticity translated into content that spread organically as attendees posted their experiences. The crowd control challenges that emerged tell their own story about demand miscalculation. When Nike's internal teams planned this event, they surely anticipated strong turnout. They probably prepared for enthusiastic fans and busy sales periods. What they apparently didn't fully expect was the level of intensity that actually materialized. Security had to actively manage crowd movement to prevent dangerous situations. Lines formed that exceeded venue capacity for comfortable accommodation. Some fans waited for hours with no guarantee of actually purchasing anything. The atmosphere reportedly teetered between exciting and overwhelming at various points throughout the event. And somewhere in the middle of all this, Dayan Sanders posted a video that perfectly captured the vindication he clearly felt. In the clip, Prime laughs at Nike executives who had apparently suggested reducing stock numbers before the release. They thought 50,000 pairs might be too many. They worried about sitting on unsold inventory. They questioned whether a fifth-round rookie could actually move merchandise at those volumes. Dayan's laughter communicated everything without requiring explanation. The man who built his own Nike legacy decades ago watched his son prove that legacy continues into the next generation. The executives who doubted found themselves managing crashed servers and insufficient inventory. The demand they questioned had embarrassed their conservative projections. That moment of vindication matters because it represents something larger than just one sneaker release. Dayan spent years building programs at Jackson State and then Colorado. He faced constant criticism about whether his coaching methods would translate, whether his sons received advantages they didn't earn, whether the entire primetime approach was style over substance. The 4.2-second sellout provided concrete evidence that the audience disagreed with those criticisms. 50,000 people had decided within literal seconds that they wanted what Shedeur was offering. The market had voted with extraordinary speed and overwhelming consensus. The San Francisco event also demonstrated something about physical retail in the digital age. Everyone involved knew that online sales would move the bulk of inventory. The app and website represented where real volume would occur. But Nike still invested in creating a physical experience because they understood that events generate content and content extends reach. Every photo posted from that venue became additional marketing. Every video of crowds and chaos reinforced the narrative of unprecedented demand. Every fan interaction created potential loyalty that might translate into future purchases. The event cost money to produce, but the earned media value likely exceeded those costs substantially. What happened inside the venue after doors opened reinforced the external chaos. Available inventory moved immediately. Fans who managed to purchase anything felt like lottery winners. Those who left empty-handed joined the secondary market searches that were already pushing prices toward $1,500. The contrast between San Francisco energy and what typically happens at rookie merchandise events couldn't be more striking. Most first-year players release products to modest fanfare. Media coverage focuses on potential rather than proven demand. Events feel like brand-building exercises with uncertain outcomes. Shedeur's launch felt like arrival rather than introduction. The crowds, the chaos, the sold-out inventory communicated that this quarterback had already built the audience that most athletes spend entire careers pursuing. The foundation was established. Now came the building. But understanding what Nike actually owed Shedeur because of how quickly everything sold reveals the most sophisticated part of this entire arrangement. Deep within the contract language that governs Shedeur's Nike relationship exists what industry insiders have started calling the sell-through bonus clause. This provision apparently creates additional compensation tiers triggered by how quickly inventory moves. And what happened in those 4.2 seconds activated the most aggressive bonus structure available. The general concept works something like this. If a product release sells through inventory within certain timeframes, the athlete receives bonus payments beyond their base contract value. Faster sellouts mean higher bonuses. The logic from Nike's perspective makes sense. Rapid sellouts indicate genuine demand rather than manufactured hype. They suggest the athlete's brand carries weight that justifies premium partnership terms. At 4.2 seconds, Shedeur didn't just trigger the sell-through bonus. He apparently triggered the maximum possible tier. Selling out in under 1 minute activates certain thresholds. Selling out in under 30 seconds might activate higher thresholds. Selling out in under 5 seconds, which is essentially what happened, represents demand so extreme that it maxes out whatever bonus structure the contract specified. The exact dollar amounts involved remain unconfirmed. Neither Nike nor Shedeur's representatives have publicly detailed what these bonus provisions pay. But industry observers who analyze athlete endorsement deals suggest that sell-through bonuses on contracts of this magnitude can represent 7 or even 8-figure additional payments per qualifying release. If those estimates hold even partially true, Shedeur made life-changing money from one sneaker drop. A single product release potentially generated bonus income that exceeds what many NFL players earn in total annual salary. And this income arrived separately from his base Nike contract, separately from jersey revenue, separately from his actual football earnings. The incentive structure this creates deserves careful examination. Nike benefits when products sell quickly because it demonstrates market strength and reduces inventory holding costs. Shedeur benefits through bonus payments that reward genuine demand. Fans benefit because the arrangement encourages Nike to create products that people actually want rather than flooding markets with mediocre merchandise. This alignment produces interesting dynamics around scarcity and exclusivity. Nike has financial incentive to limit production runs because faster sellouts trigger better outcomes for both parties. Shedeur has incentive to promote releases aggressively because his bonuses depend on velocity. The collaboration pushes toward creating genuine excitement rather than artificial limitation. Compare this to how most athlete merchandise gets handled. Brands often produce large quantities, hoping to maximize total revenue through volume. Products sit on shelves and websites for extended periods. Discounts eventually move stubborn inventory. The sense of urgency disappears quickly after initial release. The sell-through bonus model inverts that approach. Limited quantities create genuine scarcity. Rapid sellouts generate headlines and social conversation. Secondary markets validate demand through premium resale pricing. Each release becomes an event rather than just a transaction. There's also strategic intelligence in how this clause motivates Nike's internal teams. Marketing departments have direct financial reasons to maximize release impact because company payouts increase when products move faster. Design teams have incentive to create compelling products that generate immediate purchase behavior. Distribution teams have motivation to ensure smooth launch execution that doesn't frustrate potential buyers. The entire organization aligns around making Shedeur's releases successful because success triggers obligations that reflect well on everyone involved. It's partnership in the truest sense, where both parties prosper together rather than negotiating against each other's interests. What we don't know for certain is how many future releases might trigger similar bonus provisions. If Nike plans multiple Shedeur drops annually, each with sell-through bonus potential, the cumulative value could reach territory that dwarfs traditional endorsement structures. The 4.2-second sellout might represent just the beginning of a release calendar designed to generate recurring bonus events. Some industry speculation suggests that Nike and Shedeur's team specifically negotiated the bonus clause, anticipating exactly this outcome. They reportedly studied release patterns from Travis Scott collaborations, limited Jordan retros, and other high-demand drops. They calculated what demand might exist for a Shedeur release and structured terms that would reward the most optimistic projections. If that speculation is accurate, the 4.2-second sellout validated planning that began months or years before the product even existed. The contract terms anticipated success and built mechanisms to capture upside when that success materialized. Rather than negotiating conservative terms and hoping for the best, Shedeur's team apparently pushed for aggressive bonus structures because they believed the demand would materialize. That confidence came from somewhere. Perhaps it emerged from watching Shedeur's social media engagement grow throughout college. Perhaps it developed from observing how fans responded to the Sanders family brand more broadly. Perhaps Dayan's own experience with Nike releases provided insight into what demand curves might look like. Whatever the source, the confidence proved warranted. The demand proved real. And the clause that changes everything proved its value in 4.2 seconds. The NFL scouts who evaluated Shedeur never saw this coming. When NFL teams evaluated the 2025 quarterback class, they employed sophisticated scouting processes refined over decades. They analyzed arm strength and accuracy. They studied footwork and pocket presence. They evaluated decision-making speed and leadership qualities. They projected how college performance might translate to professional competition. What they apparently didn't evaluate with the same rigor was commercial potential. And that oversight created one of the most fascinating disconnects in recent draft history. Multiple quarterbacks went before Shedeur Sanders. Cam Ward went earlier. Other names filled first and second round slots while Shedeur waited. Teams made calculations about circus atmosphere and media attention. They worried that the Dayan factor might create distractions. They questioned whether a quarterback from Colorado's system could adapt to NFL schemes. Those concerns led team after team to pass. And round after round, Shedeur kept sliding until Cleveland finally called his name in the 5th round. At that moment, by traditional football evaluation standards, those earlier quarterbacks had been declared more valuable. Their draft positions reflected higher confidence from professional organizations. They would receive larger rookie contracts and more immediate opportunities to compete for starting jobs. But here's what the draft process completely missed. While teams debated arm angles and release points, Nike had already committed $250 million to Shedeur's brand. While scouts questioned scheme fit, 375,000 jerseys were waiting to be sold. While front offices worried about distractions, sneaker demand was building toward a 4.2-second explosion. The market was screaming something that draft boards couldn't hear. Cultural impact and demographic reach exist independently of football performance. Commercial value follows different logic than athletic evaluation. And Shedeur had spent years building exactly the kind of audience connection that generates endorsement power. Consider the comparison in concrete financial terms. The quarterbacks drafted ahead of Shedeur don't have Nike deals approaching $250 million. They don't have jersey revenue arrangements paying 50%. They don't have sneaker releases selling out faster than Travis Scott collaborations. Their endorsement portfolios, while likely substantial for early round picks, probably don't approach what Shedeur secured as a 5th round selection. Draft boards declared those quarterbacks more valuable. The market declared Shedeur's brand worth more than all of them combined. Both statements can be true simultaneously, but only one determines long-term wealth. The irony sharpens when you examine what actually concerned teams about Shedeur. The circus they worried about, the media attention, the social media presence, the family brand dynamics, those exact elements created the commercial value that draft evaluation missed. The things teams considered liabilities were actually assets from a business perspective. Nike executives weren't evaluating whether Shedeur could execute a 3-step drop against a cover 2 defense. They were assessing whether his presence moved needles on social platforms and whether his image resonated with target demographics. They were calculating reach and engagement and conversion potential. And by those metrics, Shedeur rated as elite. The conventional wisdom in professional sports suggests that on-field success drives commercial opportunities. Players win championships, earn Pro Bowl selections, and accumulate statistical achievements. Then brands' approach with endorsement offers proportional to those accomplishments. Performance precedes payment. Shedeur's situation inverts that timeline completely. The payments arrived before the performance. The commercial validation preceded the professional validation. Nike bet that Shedeur would generate value regardless of what happened on football fields, and so far, that bet is paying off spectacularly. This creates an interesting philosophical question about what athlete value actually means. Is it defined by sports performance measured in statistics and wins? Is it defined by commercial impact measured in sales and engagement? Can someone be more valuable to a brand than to a football team simultaneously? Shedeur seems to exist in that space between definitions. Cleveland is evaluating his quarterback development and hoping for on-field success. Nike is evaluating his brand performance and already celebrating commercial success. Both organizations made investments based on different criteria, and so far, Nike's investment is generating clearer returns. The downstream effects of this value disconnect are already appearing. Young athletes are recognizing that building personal brands during college can create commercial opportunities independent of draft position. High school prospects are studying social media strategy alongside football fundamentals. The next generation understands that audience connection matters for reasons beyond just future nil deals. Parents and advisors are incorporating brand development into athletic training programs. The athletes who will enter drafts 5 or 10 years from now will arrive with commercial awareness that previous generations lacked. Shedeur's example demonstrates what's possible when someone treats brand building as seriously as skill development. NFL teams might need to adjust their own evaluation processes. If commercial value exists independently of draft position, perhaps front offices should incorporate brand assessment into their calculations. A quarterback who generates massive merchandise revenue might be more valuable to a franchise than one who grades slightly better on physical tools but lacks cultural resonance. Those conversations are reportedly already happening in some organizations. The Shedeur situation is forcing reassessment of what makes players valuable beyond traditional football metrics. And the rumors about what comes next suggest this empire is just beginning to expand. The 4.2-second sellout represented a beginning rather than a destination. Nike's planning for Shedeur's product line extends far beyond a single release, and the roadmap reportedly includes expansions that could make the initial drop look modest by comparison. Industry sources suggest that homecoming edition sneakers are already in development. These releases would dive deeper into Cleveland roots and potentially incorporate design elements that resonate with Ohio communities. The strategy appears focused on building genuine connection with the city Shedeur now represents professionally, transforming him from imported talent into adopted local icon. High-top versions inspired by Dayan's legendary diamond turf silhouette are also reportedly in discussion. These designs would explicitly connect father and son through product lineage, making the generational Nike partnership visible in footwear form. Fans who remember Prime's playing days could purchase updates that honor that legacy while embracing the next chapter. Performance technology updates represent another direction on the roadmap. Shedeur's current releases emphasize lifestyle and fashion appeal. Future iterations might incorporate actual athletic performance features, positioning the line to compete with functional training footwear rather than just collectible sneakers. That expansion would dramatically increase the addressable market. Beyond footwear, speculation about apparel extensions has circulated among industry observers. A full clothing line operating under the Nike umbrella would allow Shedeur to compete in categories where margins and volumes differ significantly from sneaker releases. T-shirts, hoodies, athletic wear, and accessories could all potentially carry Shedeur branding. The infrastructure for Prime, as a lifestyle brand spanning multiple categories, appears to be building. Nike has experience developing these comprehensive athlete partnerships. LeBron's various product lines demonstrate how deeply a single athlete can penetrate different market segments. Shedeur's trajectory suggests similar ambitions. Rumors about partnerships beyond Nike have also emerged, though these remain unconfirmed. Whispers about Beats by Dre discussions surface periodically in entertainment industry conversations. A Sanders family reality show has reportedly been the subject of network meetings. Video game cover negotiations allegedly occurred around recent sports title releases. We need to frame all of these rumors appropriately as speculation rather than confirmed developments. But the volume of conversation around Shedeur's expanding business interests suggests genuine activity beyond just Nike obligations. Multiple industries appear interested in access to his demographic reach and cultural influence. The international expansion potential deserves particular attention. That San Francisco launch event demonstrated domestic demand, but Shedeur's social media following extends globally. Tokyo, London, Paris, and other major markets have sneaker culture scenes that respond to limited releases and exclusive products. A coordinated international launch strategy could multiply revenue significantly. Nike reportedly explored flagship store appearances in multiple countries as promotional opportunities. Having Shedeur physically present in international markets would generate content moments and local media coverage that advertising dollars can't easily purchase. The earned media value of such appearances could justify substantial travel investments. The prime equity model that Shedeur pioneered is also spreading beyond his own deals. Young athletes entering negotiations are now armed with reference points that didn't exist before. Agents are building expertise in revenue participation structures. The template Shedeur established is becoming industry standard for top-tier prospects. That ripple effect represents legacy beyond personal success. Future athletes will negotiate better deals because Shedeur proved what's possible. They'll secure revenue-sharing terms because his example established precedent. The systemic improvement benefits everyone coming after, even those who never directly interact with Shedeur's business operations. There's something remarkable about building that kind of industry influence at 24 years old. Most athletes don't develop sophisticated business perspectives until retirement forces them to consider post-playing careers. Shedeur is executing complex commercial strategies while still actively pursuing athletic achievement. The dual-track approach offers significant risk mitigation. If football success arrives as hoped, the endorsement empire compounds on top of athletic accomplishments. Jerseys sell even faster. Sneakers generate even more demand. The feedback loop between performance and commercial value accelerates. But if football success proves more elusive, the commercial foundation provides security regardless. The Nike contract pays regardless of win-loss record. The jersey revenue continues regardless of playoff appearances. The sneaker releases sell regardless of statistical achievements. Shedeur has essentially ensured his financial future against the uncertainties that plague most professional athletes. That strategic sophistication reflects either exceptional personal business instinct or exceptional advisory support, probably some combination of both. The decisions being made around Shedeur's brand demonstrate long-term thinking that prioritizes sustainable wealth over short-term maximization. The shoes with money signs on the soles communicate this philosophy visually with every step. Shedeur literally walks over cash symbols because his approach generates wealth systematically rather than accidentally. The symbolism is intentional. The message is clear, and the results validate the messaging. Nike's investment in this partnership continues expanding because every data point confirms the original thesis. The audience follows Shedeur. The products move. The brand grows. $250 million looks more reasonable with each passing sales report. What started as an aggressive bet on a college quarterback has transformed into a case study that business schools will likely analyze for decades. Shedeur Sanders hasn't won a Super Bowl. He hasn't made a Pro Bowl. His rookie statistics wouldn't leap off any highlight reels. By traditional measures of football success, he remains an unproven fifth-round pick still establishing himself at the professional level. But by commercial measures, he's already accomplished what most athletes never achieve across entire careers. A $250 million Nike partnership, record-breaking jersey sales, a sneaker sellout faster than anything Travis Scott, Jordan retros, or LeBron releases have produced in recent memory. The money-signed souls tell the real story. Shedeur understood something that draft boards missed entirely. Legacy gets built through equity ownership, not just salary collection. Wealth gets created through revenue participation, not just endorsement payments. Financial security comes from building an empire that generates returns regardless of what happens between the lines. At 24, he's executing business strategy that most retired athletes wish they had understood during their playing days. The generational wealth is already secured. The template for future athletes is already established. The industry standards are already shifting. Win or lose on Sundays, the empire keeps building. And that 4.2-second sellout was just the beginning.